Hello, good evening, and welcome. I'm John Lazarus with Stories Matter at D&E Publishing. From the barista who makes your coffee, to the nanny who raises your children, to the doorman who keeps drug addicts and couriers serving you legal papers out of your building, our lives depend on little people whose existence we basically never acknowledge. In literature, perhaps even more than in real life, these little people matter. Your reader won't respond to your writing if your world is populated by flat characters who exist only to serve your main protagonist's narrative, in much the way a judge might respond to you not remembering the names of your company's custodians and security guards who died when your building burnt down because you were siphoning electricity from next door. Sure, it's much easier to go through life not having to think about all the little slave hands that knitted your socks, and dehumanizing others, while sometimes problematic, has had many great benefits throughout human history. For example, we've made an impressive stockpile of weapons should aliens ever arrive and threaten our existence. But writing is all about exploring the rich fullness of the human experience. Let's do a little experiment. Look at this photo. Now, at first glance, you probably think this is some sort of woke mob. You don't really think of these people as individuals, nor do you consider their individual motivations. They're just trying to steal from hardworking billionaires, you might say to yourself. Some of the more sociopathic of Stories Matter's viewers might fantasize about following one specific person to their home, strangling them, and watching the light go from their eyes. But most of you would probably be fine tear-gassing the whole crowd so they disperse and you can drive to yoga class unimpeded. But as a writer, use this as an exercise to practice humanizing others. Pick 5 random people and write a few paragraphs of background. This woman, for example. Let's pretend she's not very politically active, but is here to impress this man. You see, last week she first saw him at Whole Foods when he asked if she knew where the arugula was. He was so hot she got tongue-tied and just silently pointed in a random direction, and in fact, she didn't and still doesn't know what arugula actually is and hopes he doesn't ever bring it up again. Anyway, she followed him out of the Whole Foods and was excited to learn he lives only a few buildings away, so she's been spending the past few nights hanging around the entrance to his building hoping they'll cross paths again. If he asks what she's doing, she'll say she comes to that building to leave food for a stray cat. Anyway, that didn't happen, he must work nights or something, but this Saturday morning she saw him walk with a group of people to a local protest. And so now she hopes he shouts out some funny slogan or comment, and she'll be standing nearby and she'll laugh really loud to try to draw his attention. Anyway, we'll take radical detours that seem to be pointless on this edition of Stories Matter. Speaking of little people, today's video is brought to you by Modern Day Knights Alpha Male Bootcamp. Ever feel like you're a minor footnote in somebody else's story? Do you often feel like your family wishes you would just die so they could collect the insurance money? Do you have a really small penis? Well, maybe Modern Day Knights Alpha Male Bootcamp is right for you. For the low price of $18,000, this 72-hour course will teach you how to maximize your gains and command the respect of all the cashiers you try to hit on. This intensive course, where our specialist teachers will do everything from make you do push-ups in mud to make you do push-ups in water, is all about enhancing the mind, body, soul, profit connections. Once you finish this course, you'll be a CEO in the bedroom and a tantric sex coach in the boardroom. Listen to your Manosphere podcaster for more information. Now, before we get to the tips, let's make a clear distinction. Minor characters are not secondary characters. Secondary characters get lots of page space and are crucial to the plot. Minor characters are a step below that. To give a relatable analogy, if a main character is a wife, a secondary character is a mistress, then a minor character is a Waffle House waitress from Memphis you banged once on a book tour whose name and hair color you can't really remember, but you do distinctly remember she got sexually excited by tornadoes. Tip 1. Minor characters should feel like they have a life outside your story. A minor character shouldn't exist just to info dump, nor should their only purpose be to support your protagonist. I mean, in real life, the only reason we do things for others is to achieve our own goals. At least that's how it is for me. There are lots of ways to do this in your fiction. Give your minor characters a memorable hobby. Hint at a secret motivation. In Blake Colby's Bloodshot, one of the detectives is trying to solve the crime, but the other is mostly worried about whether or not his wife is having an affair. This is something I had to learn as a boss as well. For years, I thought of my workers as mindless drones who only existed to make me more money. But now I make it a point to get to know all my employees. For example, every Monday morning, I spend 2 hours monitoring their social media feeds. This has the added benefit of checking to see if they're uploading pictures of themselves holding various books from the DNA backlog as I asked. Tip 2. Don't forget to give your minor characters a look. Remember, a minor character may only exist on a few pages of a 300-page novel, so you really have to make those words count. Some strange clothing choices or gaping holes where your eyes should be is a great way to grab your reader's attention. Try to think of some minor characters in movies whose names you don't remember, but whose look you absolutely do. If you're anything like me, the first thing that came to mind was the chick with the 3 tits from Total Recall. There's science to support this as well. Humans are bad with names, but we've been trained to recognize abnormal or differing appearances. This is how we learn to cast sick or genetically inferior people out of our caveman societies. At my publishing company, I remember most people by specific traits instead of names, like big head, nerd face, wife material if she smiled more, and what I imagine my mom might look like today if she hadn't abandoned me. Tip 3. Give your minor character a specific role. It's no secret that lots of books have been written. Because of this, many roles for minor characters have been established. Let's look at a few. First, we have comic relief. Think about the gravediggers in Hamlet. In my novel, The House on Payne Avenue, Daniel's frat brothers serve as comic relief. Peeing in the dean's coffee helps lighten all the scenes where Daniel's father kicks him out of the house for being gay. Then you have the guide. They are meant to assist the protagonist on his journey. In my novel, Deep Throat 2, the titular character guides the journalists in uncovering the president's pizza parlor child sex ring. Finally, because this video has been about the unsung heroes in my life, I wanted to take a moment to thank the following people for helping me on my literary journey. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll leave you with this week's This Day in Literary History. See you on the next one.